The Brown here with another Blu-ray update, and you'll have to forgive my sweat in there, just a little bit of exercising. But I picked up a copy the other day of Steven Soderbergh's Side Effects. That's my cat there, Shadow. But originally I went and seen this in theaters, and so far this year it's my favorite film, but that's not saying much because I've only seen 3 films, and there's still a lot of films that I really want to see. But supposedly this is Soderbergh's final theatrical film. I think he's actually made like another documentary or so since this. He makes a lot of documentaries, but he was saying that this was going to be his last theatrical film, and he was just going to move on to like documentaries and like kind of like more like indie films, I guess, or who knows, maybe even stay away from films. But he's kind of like before I didn't really care for him much. Just like his filming style, it's really kind of, over time, I've kind of got hooked to it. He does, like I said, he does a lot of documentaries. He's worked with George Clooney quite a number of times. I didn't really care much for his more like earlier, like kind of big main blockbuster, or just main, really like theatrical release films, but I like a lot of his more indie films and the kind of documentaries. And his first film, Sex, Lies, and Videotape, actually took the, I think it was like the Palme d'Or at Cannes Film Festival. It's like '89, I think. I don't know if it took that. I think it might have took Grand Prize. I think it might have took Best Director. But definitely, that's what got his recognition. And in this, it stars Rooney Mara, of course, the girl with the dragon tattoo. Another amazing performance by her, just an amazing actress. Jude Law, I'm really starting to like the films he's been in. Of course, Channing Tatum, who got started by Soderbergh with Haywire, then Magic Mike, and now this. And Catherine Zeta-Jones. All 4 of those are just really great in this. But I can't really, I kind of tell you the first half of the film, because if I go into the last half, it's really just spoiler territory. I'll just say, if you're a big fan of Hitchcock, this is a modern day Hitchcock thriller. If you've ever seen like Vertigo or Psycho, Rear Window, North by Northwest, To Catch a Thief, you'll kind of, like I said, just, I don't want to say really anything. You really need to see it, otherwise it just gives it away. But basically, it's kind of smart the way it's done, because this reason it's called Side Effects revolves around kind of like the way the pills and the drugs, that kind of the industry of today. It's showing how there's just so many side effects of all these pills that people are constantly taking, and the way it's become like everyone kind of takes drugs, just the whole kind of drug industry. They'll look at it while at the same time being like a movie. But the first half was really just straightforward into like the whole the pharmaceutical affairs thing of what's going on in that market today. But Rooney, it starts off, Channing Tatum, he was in prison for like 4 years, and then Rooney Mara goes to, she's his wife, and she picks him up from prison with his mom to his, like, their first day back together. And she's really depressed, and she doesn't know why. Like, sometimes she could be feeling good, and all of a sudden she just feels really depressed and down. And she has this car accident, which she actually tries to kill herself because of her depression. And that's where Jude Law enters the story. He's her doctor, and that kind of goes into a relationship between him kind of checking her out and like kind of asking about how she feels, and like kind of he goes to Catherine Zeta-Jones, which is her older doctor, her original doctor, for kind of her back history. And he puts her on this medicine called Ablixa, which then it makes her, actually she starts to feel better, but then it still has all these other side effects that it causes. And it ends up kind of like the middle of the film, it just completely changes because of the side effects and all. She can't control herself, she sleepwalks and all this, and she actually kills her husband without even knowing it. And then it just goes, I kind of tell you a little bit, I guess. It goes into like, they don't know if they're gonna give her the murder charge, or make it to where she's I forget what you'd call it. Basically, where she's like unconscious and unknowing of what she's doing, and they're kind of blaming. It's either going to be lying on her as a murder charge, or on Jude Law being her doctor for prescribing her the medicine. So it kind of, and then the last half just revolves around him because it's all this big ordeal on TV and everything, and nobody wants him to be their doctor, and they don't trust all these drugs, and it's all like the market's going down, and he's losing his job, and his like wife and everything, his life is going downhill, and he's trying to figure this out. And that's about as far as I can go without really, I guess, on the camera work actually, because this is the first like really just I noticed a digital looking film that I really liked, with the exception of Fincher's. His, for some reason, he can make them look damn near just like their actual film and still be digital. But Soderbergh is definitely the other kind of like digitally new wave director. Him and Fincher are really kind of like the masters of the digital right now. And then everybody, because the whole film industry, the film is dropping out and it's going to digital. And if you go to theaters, it's all like digital projection. Most of the films are shot digitally nowadays. I don't really use film anymore. But I've really, at first, with the exception of Fincher, I didn't really kind of like the look of it. Like at first, it was kind of hard to grasp the look of this, because when I was watching it in theaters, I could tell it was like a digital. It was almost like a more realistic, like a weird, like a TV show looking look. But then watching the film, I noticed it actually really works very well with it. He's used that on a lot of his other films, the style. I like how they use like the blur a lot in this. It kind of is like you don't really understand what is going on. You don't understand like the people and what they're, just with her kind of like behavior of her depression and then her mood swings and feelings. It's kind of all blurred in. I like how they kind of do that, put things out of focus. And some of the shots I actually noticed I've seen in some Fincher films, like Social Network or like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, kind of just the same similar way he uses the camera. But there's kind of like I was saying, that's kind of like the old thrillers. The beginning and the end is kind of like, it makes me think of Roman Polanski's Rosemary's Baby, because it's a shot where it shows the whole city, that's just this eerie song, and then the camera tracks slowly into this one room, which is Rooney Mara's room, and then in the final, okay, well think Rosemary's Baby if you've ever seen it, and then the final shot, kind of I'm not going to say what all room, but a certain room, and it kind of zooms out away from that building back into the city. It's kind of like, it's just like Rosemary's Baby, but kind of like that kind of song playing. Kind of shows like just this one small story within the grasp of our entire world, and how this one little side effects, pill, drug story is kind of goes with like the whole society, I guess. But if you haven't seen any Soderbergh films, this is definitely a good place to start. Like I said, if you haven't seen any of them already, and a good place to start, I guess, to really see how to shoot a film digitally and make it look good. There's some pretty funny behind the scenes on this, with like all the cast and the guy who makes it talking about like Soderbergh and Rooney Mara, is what they call her, and like David. It's pretty comical, and I don't know what else to say really about this. Like I said, without the guy who wrote this, Scott Z. Burns, I'm really looking forward to his next, whatever screenplays he writes next, because it's just a hell of a screenplay. Definitely well put together story. And as you can see, it's a slipcase, I guess, yeah. Show that closer, front cover. And then the back, it's Blu-ray, DVD, and all that combo. But Steven Soderbergh's Side Effects, check that one out, and thank you for watching.